You know that feeling? That spark of sudden understanding? That little jolt when a new idea just clicks in your brain? Or sometimes it starts even simpler, like with a question that seems almost, well, silly. Like
Yeah.
a child wondering aloud if real zebras actually use zebra crossings.
Yeah, that's a wonderful example, actually. That idea of a seemingly simple question just unlocking a whole world. That kid's question, it didn't just lead to a quick no, right?
Yeah.
It sent them, and probably their parent, on this little adventure.
Right. Inventing jungle traffic rules.
Exactly. Sharing that moment of discovery. It's lovely.
And that feeling, that sense of wonder, that drive to follow where a question leads, it isn't something that just has to fade when we grow up. That joy of learning something new, of, expanding your understanding, it's actually one of the most powerful sources of happiness and personal growth available to us, like throughout our lives.
Yeah.
So that's our deep dive today. We've looked at insights from, well, all over childhood curiosity, the psychology of mindsets, even some really fascinating neuroscience about what happens in our brains when we learn.
And how lifelong learning really benefits us as adults.
Yeah, exactly. Our mission really is to get to the heart of why learning feels so good and why keeping that curious flame alive is just so essential.
And at the core of it, like you said, is curiosity itself. One source described it as the wick in the candle of learning, or the spark that ignites the fire, which I quite liked.
That's good.
It suggests it's less about being taught to be curious and more about just honoring that built-in human thing, that desire to explore, question, discover.
It's that impulse, right, that makes a toddler poke everything.
Yeah.
Or an adult get lost down an internet rabbit hole trying to figure out something totally obscure. It's asking why, even about things that seem mundane, like wondering about ants marching in a line, or, I love this one, why cats don't wear shoes.
Huh? Yes, that was genuinely in there. It really highlights how curiosity makes us active participants, doesn't it? Curious people aren't just, passively sitting there receiving information. They're seeking it out, asking those questions,
Even the slightly out there ones.
especially those, and listening deeply, trying to piece things together, connect the dots. And it's not just about knowledge for knowledge's sake. Research actually suggests a pretty strong link between curiosity and higher positive emotions, and interestingly, lower anxiety.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a built-in mood booster.
Kind of. It seems that curiosity primes us for that happiness we feel when we learn something.
Okay, so curiosity is the spark, the initial impulse. But how does that spark, turn into something more substantial? How does it fuel real learning and actual growth beyond just collecting cool facts?
That's a great question. Because it's not just about collecting facts, like trivia. It's about engaging with information in a way that fuels actual growth. When you're genuinely curious about something, you become this active participant in your own understanding.
Right.
And you retain knowledge far more deeply. Why? Because you're driven by an internal desire to get it, not just, external pressure to memorize for a test.
Like the kid wanting to know about the ants.
Exactly. They'll remember the answer because they genuinely wanted to know the why.
And this whole journey, following your curiosity, asking questions, seeking answers, it sounds like that process itself builds something really crucial, self-confidence.
Absolutely. The material we looked at describes inquisitive individuals as being, well, braver. They're more willing to step outside their comfort zone, try something new. Could be a complex recipe, a tough puzzle, a new skill. They kind of understand that making mistakes, maybe falling short sometimes, is just part of the process. It's not some final verdict on their ability.
It's just data.
Right. It's feedback. And that willingness to just engage and experiment, that builds a really strong sense of self through actual experience.
And does this way of engaging with the world just, I don't know, make life more enjoyable, less boring?
It really seems to. A curious person is rarely bored, are they? They seem to have this incredible ability to find wonder in the ordinary. They see potential everywhere. A simple observation can kick off a whole fascinating line of thinking.
Yeah.
That sense of magic and engagement we often associate with childhood. It can actually stick around throughout life if we just keep nurturing that curiosity.
That connection you're drawing between curiosity and sustained engagement.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like what psychologists call a learning mindset, right? Or a growth mindset.
Yes, it's a really powerful concept that builds directly on that spark of curiosity. It comes largely from Dr. Carol Dweck's work, and it's basically the belief that your abilities, your intelligence, They aren't just fixed traits you're stuck with.
Yeah.
Instead, they can be developed through dedication, hard work, using good strategies, learning from mistakes, learning from others.
So the big shift isn't saying, oh, I'm bad at math, but maybe I'm not great at math yet, but I can get better if I practice and figure out how to approach it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental shift in perspective. Someone with more of a fixed mindset might shy away from challenges because they fear failure. They see it as proof of their limits.
Right, it feels personal.
Exactly. But someone with a learning mindset sees challenges as opportunities. Failure isn't the end of the story. It's just feedback. It's crucial information showing you what maybe try differently next time. It fosters incredible resilience.
And embracing this idea that we can always learn and grow, that seems to unlock some pretty major benefits, especially for us adults, way beyond just, getting information for a job.
Oh, the benefits are truly profound. A really key one is the direct link we see between continuous adult learning and improved mental health, and just general well-being.
How so?
Well, learning gives you a sense of purpose, a direction, a feeling of accomplishment. Think about someone taking up a new hobby, maybe gardening or trying a language class. That feeling of progressing, of mastering something new, even something small, that's deeply fulfilling. It's a genuine source of happiness.
It also seems like it would give a real boost to self-confidence, self-esteem.
Definitely.
Like stepping into something new, maybe joining a group specifically to build a skill that feels challenging. I think Toastmasters for public speaking was mentioned.
Yeah, that was an example.
Facing that fear and then actually seeing yourself improve must be incredibly validating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Overcoming those perceived limitations, seeing tangible progress that's powerful fuel for self-esteem.
Yeah.
And then there's the cognitive side, actively engaging your brain with new stuff, new skills. It isn't just for fun. It can actually improve memory and cognitive function.
Like exercise for the brain.
Pretty much. There's even research suggesting it might help delay cognitive decline as we get older, keeping things active.
And beyond the personal benefits, in our world today, things change so fast. Continuous learning feels less like a nice to have and more like a necessity, right? Especially professionally.
It really makes you adaptable. If you approach challenges with that learning mindset, you don't just see roadblocks. You see opportunities to learn something new, gain new skills, new insights.
Builds resilience.
Exactly. Resilience in your career path. There was a really moving example shared about a taxi driver who always dreamed of being an engineer.
Oh, yeah.
He went back to night school, really stuck with it, pursued his studies, and eventually made that career transition. And the why was powerful too, not just for himself, but to set an example for his kids about perseverance and, well, continuous learning.
Wow. That story really hits home how learning can genuinely reshape your life's path. And it's not always about formal degrees either, is it? The material also mentions someone, Carla, whose genuine interest in nightlife culture unexpectedly became this valuable asset in her fashion PR career. People started asking her for recommendations.
Yeah, it opened doors. Or the other example, how teaching digital marketing just as a side thing eventually paved the way for a complete pivot into a full-time marketing role.
It just shows how following genuine curiosity, even in areas that seem totally unrelated to your main thing, can create these unexpected opportunities and connections.
It really does. And learning new things naturally broadens your perspective anyway. It exposes you to different ideas, different ways of thinking.
Which is key for creativity, I imagine.
Absolutely essential.
Yeah.
Original ideas often come from mashing together existing concepts in new ways. You need a wide pool to draw from. It reminds me of that Zen Buddhist idea, Shoshin, the beginner's mind.
Beginner's mind.
Yeah, the idea is to stay open and receptive to learning no matter how much you think you already know. Always be willing to see things fresh.
I like that. And, while learning can be deeply personal, it's often a social thing, too.
That's a really important point. Joining classes, workshops, book clubs, whatever, groups focused on a shared interest provide really valuable social interaction and connection.
Combats isolation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was highlighted as another benefit, fighting isolation and keeping the mind active, not just through the learning itself, but through actually engaging with other people about it.
Okay, so we've talked about the feeling, the psychology, the real-world benefits, but it's truly fascinating that there's actually a biological basis for this joy, this engagement we find in learning.
Yeah, this is where the brain science gets really cool. Our intrinsic motivation, doing things just for the enjoyment or satisfaction of doing them.
Not for an external reward.
Right, that's linked to the brain's seeking system or exploration system. And this system is tied to dopamine.
Dopamine. Okay, we hear about that a lot with rewards, pleasure. How does it work with learning specifically?
Good question, because it's a bit different here. While dopamine is involved in processing rewards, in this context, intrinsic motivation, seeking, it's more about the energized wanting, the anticipation of discovery, the drive to pursue information or solve a problem.
So it's not just the pleasure of having the answer?
Not entirely. It's why successfully tackling a really challenging puzzle feels intrinsically good while you're doing it. Your brain registers that progress, that movement towards understanding, as valuable.
Yeah.
That's linked to this dopamine system. It's the process of making headway, the feedback that you're on the right track that's rewarding in itself.
So the brain is actively encouraging you, yeah, keep going, keep exploring, keep learning.
Exactly. And when you're truly engrossed in learning something new, your brain activity literally shifts. Areas involved in noticing important stuff, they call it the salience network, and the parts responsible for focus and complex thought, the central executive network, they become much more active.
Okay.
And meanwhile, the areas often associated with mind wandering, thinking about yourself, dwelling on the past or future, the default mode network that actually quiets down.
That makes perfect sense. That explains why you can get so completely lost in learning something new, lose all track of time. That state of just being happily absorbed in the task.
Yeah.
Your brain is literally optimizing itself for focused exploration, not getting stuck inside your own head ruminating.
It's a beautiful neurobiological picture of what deep engagement looks like.
Okay, so knowing all this, how do we keep it going? How do we actively cultivate this lifelong approach to learning, keep that curious flame alive day to day?
Well, the sources had some really great practical takeaways. It all starts with that spark. Keep asking questions. Actively challenge your own assumptions. Seek out different perspectives. And don't dismiss those seemingly silly questions.
Right, and make learning a consistent part of your life like a habit. Doesn't have to be huge things.
No.
It can be dedicating time to read articles, watch educational stuff online, explore new resources, or just try new experiences in your daily routine. Little things.
And crucially, reframe mistakes. They aren't failures. They're just data, essential feedback. Every time you try something new, you risk getting it wrong, sure. But that's exactly how you figure out how to eventually get it right. Embrace the stumble.
And don't be afraid to be a beginner again. That can feel uncomfortable, right? Especially as an adult, feeling like you should know things.
Yeah, it can be vulnerable. But that willingness to step back, to embrace not knowing, it's absolutely necessary for growth, for eventual mastery.
And remember that idea about respectfully putting off questions with kids? Apply that same spirit to yourself or when you're learning with others. If you don't know the answer right away, embrace the journey of finding out together.
Yes. It reinforces that learning isn't a destination. It's this continuous, often shared process for everyone.
So wrapping up this deep dive then,
Yeah.
we've kind of traced this journey, starting from that simple spark of curiosity, seeing how it ignites this powerful learning mindset, and exploring the incredible, really wide-ranging benefits this brings, not just for careers or brain health, but fundamentally for our mental health, our creativity, resilience, our overall happiness.
Yeah, it's really clear that learning isn't just, means to an end. It's not just a task to complete to get a diploma or land a job. It feels absolutely fundamental to the human experience itself. It's about continuously enriching our lives, allowing us to grow and adapt in this constantly changing world.
There's that quote from Seneca, the philosopher, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." It's beautiful, isn't it?
It really is.
It's not about just filling ourselves up with facts like pouring water into a bucket. It's more about kindling a fire within us.
Well said.
The most exciting thing you can do, really, is discover something new. Whether it's about the world around you, about a skill you never thought you could master, or maybe even something surprising about yourself.
So let that curiosity be your guide today. What will you choose to find out, or explore, or try, just for the pure joy of it?